everyone. Today we have with us Alex Nicolaus, Head of People and Culture at Circles.Life, who will take us through how the organization is preparing for the reintroduction to office life. Thanks again for taking the time to join us, Alex. All right, so let's get straight into the first question that's on all of our minds. How is Circles.Life preparing for the reintroduction to office life?
So first of all, thank you for having me. I think we are preparing ourselves with optimism. I think, during this period, which took everybody a little bit by surprise, the best way to prepare yourself is with optimism, because it is difficult, and I think we are facing unprecedented times. But I think we've been very fortunate to have, such good examples of other companies in terms of how they've dealt with the situation, which we've learned from. I think we've also been given a lot of good advice from the government here in Singapore on how to prepare ourselves. So I think for us, the golden rule for preparing ourselves to back into the workforce is to make sure that we follow the guidelines that are set out in order to make sure that our employees are safe. And I think that's our number one principle, that we don't want to go back into the workplace too fast, and make sure that everybody is safe and healthy. Secondly, I think we're preparing ourselves to a new workplace. I think trying to reconstruct how things were before will be a little bit difficult. They might come back to that in the future, but who knows? At the moment, we just have to adapt. So we've accepted the situation, we're adapting, and now we're actioning. And the way we're doing this is around 4 principles: collaboration, engagement, productivity, and well-being. And these are the 4 principles which we have adapted to prepare ourselves to come back into the workplace. So it's progressive. We can't come back to the workplace too fast. Right. Luckily, we're an essential service. So we do need some people in the office because we provide a service to Singaporeans and consumers that has to be upkept. But our practices have significantly changed since COVID-19 has happened.
What are some of the specific actions that you're taking during reintroduction?
So I think, we've learned a lot around the new ways of collaboration. And we've actually realized, being a startup, you never have time to think. And we always felt that the way we operated was the most efficient way. And we've actually realized by being at home and being able to take more time to think, that we actually improved some of our productivity and collaboration. It might not be how we had envisaged it for this year, because obviously startups compared to big corporates, we like to whiteboard, we feed off the energy from each other. There's a lot of things that make startups unique. And working from home was never a concept I had never wanted to introduce, but we had to. But again, you can be an optimist and take the best out of the current situation. So, the first step we did is we've got new routines to make sure when people are allowed to have meetings and when not. We make sure that people or employees have time to exercise during the day. So there's a lot of trust which we put into the employees. Because I think beforehand, it was very much around working from home was the Friday, and it was to do all your errands and you weren't really working. Let's be honest, right? I mean, that was what, unfortunately, some people were considering the working from home. But this is not just the working from home on Friday. This is a completely new way of doing your stand-ups. It's a new way of collaborating, knowing which meetings you have to follow and how you divide up your day. I think the biggest challenge we have coming back into the workplace is not work-life balance anymore, it's home-work balance. Because everything is in one place at home and the lines are very blurry. And that's our biggest challenge, I must say, if we're going back into the workforce, into looking at the future. Because at the moment, it's only been 3 months. So people are still upbeat. We're doing a lot of engagements. We're having a family day on Friday, virtual, where we're having a scavenger hunt. So we're coming up with loads of ideas to make it engaging. But how long can you sustain with a less interaction with other colleagues? I don't have the answer, but we're definitely trying to do steps towards that.
Absolutely agree with you. We don't know how long that's sustainable, but it sure sounds like you're doing a great job at it so far. So good job on that.
We're trying.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what are some of the tips that you have to avoid the pitfalls of a reintroduction to office life quite fast?
So I think one of the curveballs that was given to us this week is the reintroduction to phase 2. And I think it's very important that we make the distinction between phase 2 from a personal lives perspective and the phase 2 from a work perspective. As far as we're concerned, nothing has changed from a work perspective. So I think that's the first thing. You cannot hurry back, and you need to over-communicate with your employees that the way we're currently working, or we've set out a plan for the next 3 months. So we're doing it quarter by quarter, rather than saying until the end of the year, you'll be working from home. I think it's too far, and it might also disengage employees knowing that. So we said we'll do it quarter by quarter, over-communicate, do the reintroduction slowly, but also we're looking at completely revamping the workplace. So we've actually reduced some of our office size, and we might actually make your home your primary desk, and allowing people to come back into the office for strategic meetings, for collaboration, or just for generally engagement. So we might actually turn the whole model around, still have a place to meet and to gather and to plan and to whiteboard, but your primary desk will be at home. So it's not something we've committed to, but something we're piloting. So that would definitely be one of my tips, to look at it differently.
Right. Great. It's good to always try new things and experiment. And talking about piloting, for you personally as an HR leader, what are some of the new things you're doing now that perhaps weren't so big on your agenda prior to the circuit breaker?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think for us, definitely around well-being. It's always something which we talked about, and it was mostly around people experience in the workplace and onboarding and so forth. But truly well-being in terms of giving employees tips and sort of advice around taking time off, making sure that they switch off, that they don't spend too much time on their screens. So we provide yoga classes, meditation classes. So there's lots of things which we're trying to do online, also around nutrition. Being startup fit is quite important, because if you don't see the lines anymore between work and home, because it's all happening in one place, it's very difficult to switch off. And sometimes at the beginning, we had employees working 16-hour days, and I had to immediately put a stop to that. But very difficult for me, because it's all virtual and I can't just go over and fix something. I'm quite a in-person type of individual who likes to go and speak to people. So that for me was definitely a challenge in terms of, as an HR professional, how do I overcome the fact that I can't just walk over to you and talk to you, engage with you? Whereas I think if your role is a little bit more desk-based in terms of maybe engineering or coding, maybe a little bit different, but for me everything is around the energy you project. So I have to change the way I engage with individuals on a one-to-one basis. And I think the other big learning for me was how to prepare for things you don't know are going to happen. And I think there's a term called anti-fragility, which is very much about being able to get stronger with things that might come your way. So I think we don't know what will come next. Hopefully not another virus of sorts, but there might be something else. And I think you need to build that agility in your business to be able to react to anything that comes your way.
Absolutely. I agree with you on the agility, as well as agree with you on how much I miss just walking over to someone's desk to sort something out. That's definitely been something to get used to.
But if I may, there's a positive to that. I think we've also absolutely increased our ability to plan and to collaborate, because previously I was able just to walk over to you and ask for the information. Whereas now we have to be much more disciplined about how we plan every quarter, how we make sure that our OKRs, objective key results, which is one of our key tools we use to measure performance and achievements, are actually really put in place. So there are upsides if you use them well within a certain framework and guidelines, and making sure people are safe, that actually has positive outcomes.
I love that. It's great to see that even in the hardest of times, there are many of us who are able to find silver linings amongst all that is happening. Now, Alex, thank you once again for joining us. Thanks again to Alex for that interview. Now that we know what Circles.Life is doing to prepare the organization to get back into office life, what measures will your organization be taking?